Oh shit! We got 2 weeks left in the season. James, I guess you kind of forced the change of my title of my segment, but I'm gonna roll with it.
We'll think later.
I like it. All right, so starting off at number 5, MLB announced that they are banning alcohol from postseason celebrations in the clubhouse. MLB is known to be one of those sports that kind of probably does it maybe too much for some, but it's super fun to watch. And for me, I'm personally going to miss it a lot. Just gallons and gallons of champagne and beer flying to the clubhouse, guys just letting loose after a division clinching win or a World Series or whatever it is. I understand the decision. You know, you're increasing the risk of potentially spreading the virus with all the alcohol. So it's a little weird. I think that there could be a way to figure it out without having to worry about it. But I understand with the times, I guess I get it, but I personally don't love this rule. So I kind of asked all you guys, if you're going to be bummed not getting to see those team celebrations. Alex, I'll start with you.
Kinda. I mean, especially with the new playoff format, like if you win that first series of, you win the first 2 games, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of weak to just start, popping champagne everywhere. Like you won 2 games, especially if you're the 1 seed, like you're playing a team that realistically would never have made the playoffs to begin with. I mean, I'll miss it, if when the teams get into the later rounds, there's always clutch, just drunk as fuck players giving interviews, which is super funny.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like,
Traden, what do you got?
Well, first of all, forgive me for being new, but they crack champagne after every round that they win?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, that's overkill.
Yeah.
So I guess I won't really care that they won't be able to do it early on because FYI, they really only give out 1 World Series a year, and that's what you're actually playing for, but I digress. For the World Series, that's ridiculous. That's unbelievable to me. I'm upset by it because there's no science there.
Thank you, dude. That makes 0 sense. Zero.
I don't know. Forgive me again if I'm wrong here, but aren't they still getting tested daily?
Every other day.
Every other day. So they have to clear the ability to play. I'm pretty sure if you're negative and you're cleared to play, are you gonna get it from the champagne? Like that's what I don't get. Like you're already. That's what I mean. That's what I think it's the science behind it that I don't understand.
Isn't alcohol and hand sanitizer anyways, and cleaning products?
Basically,
not quite the level that you need, but I don't know. I think the science behind it is questionable at best. But again, that's me. Although I won't miss it if they're not going to do it during this other rounds because you haven't even won anything yet. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, baseball does get some backlash about how often they celebrate, which I get from a certain perspective. I can see. I mean, this year is going to be so different because there's so many more rounds in the playoffs and there's so many more teams in it. But normally, winning your division after 162 games is a really big deal because getting that and you're guaranteed a playoff series. So I understand it for that. And I kind of understand it for winning the league championship series because it's more of a tradition kind of thing because it used to be just the best team from the AL and the best team in the NL met in the World Series. So it was kind of a tradition there to celebrate that league championship. And of course, obviously World Series, you've got to do it. But I agree with you. The science seems a little weird. I don't know if there's a way to test the bottles of champagne that come in for COVID, but we'll see. James, what do you got on this?
Okay. The rule itself, bullshit. Stupid. Hate it. Like the fact that even coaches have to wear masks and shit in the dugout or on the side of the field makes 0 sense to me. They're with their team all the time. They're getting tested all the time. They're negative. Why do you have to wear a mask? That's stupid. I hate it. Go back to the celebration portion of it, though. practically I never really got the allure of popping champagne and pouring alcohol everywhere. But from a historical standpoint and from like an iconic standpoint, it's fantastic. So I'm gonna really miss that because all those big photos of winning championships, like then I remember seeing just Kobe and Michael holding the Larry O'Brien with champagne dripping everywhere and champagne bottles on the ground and everything. That's what I remember. That's iconic. Not having that this year for the World Series sucks 100%. It's you're taking a piece out of history and you're replacing it with something else based off a stupid rule that has zero backing behind it. I don't agree with it at all.
Yeah, agree, James. Eric, what do you got on this?
Dude, no comment. I'm sorry, I can't really think or put any words to thought right now. There's too much going on in my life at this moment. Sorry, alcohol is good and they should allow it. Fucking baseball, of course they don't allow it. Trash sport.
Okay.
Golf is better. Golf is better.
All right, man. I disagree. And just my final thought on this, I was very fortunate enough to be part of one of these alcohol-induced celebrations with the clubhouse of the baseball team last season, and it is as fun as it looks. So I enjoy watching them, even if I'm not a part of them. So I'm definitely gonna miss it. I think that this rule sucks. Okay, moving on to number 4. Oh shit, the Braves scored 29 runs. They got the memo that it was NFL Week 1. The final score of the game was 29-9 in their win over the Miami Marlins on Wednesday. That was 1 run shy of tying the MLB record, but it is an all-time Braves record. The day before, they scored 0 runs and got 4 hits. Gotta love baseball. You never know what you're going to get. They scored 11 runs in the second inning. 18 of their 29 runs came via the home run, which tied an MLB record. They hit 7 home runs total in this game, headlined by Adam Duvall, who hit 3 home runs in that game and got 9 RBIs. He had a 3 home run game earlier this season, and he's also got 10 home runs this month already, and it's only September 15th. So that guy's mashing right now. For the Marlins, it is their largest margin of defeat in franchise history. So a pretty wacky game there on Wednesday. Trayden, I want to ask you, if you were attending a game like this, would you be entertained or just bored?
Okay, so I kind of fought with this because I needed to know how the runs kind of were scored. Because if they were just hitting, like if they were dingers, like 29 dingers, I think that'd be kind of boring. and I'll tell you why in a bit. First off, all I want to say, it wasn't the only game that had crazy scoring because the Brewers blanked the Tigers 19-0 that same day, I think. And we gotta call out Jordan Yamamoto, entered into relief for Pablo Lopez in the second, and he really didn't relieve anything. He actually exacerbated the bleeding.
Yep.
Faced 22 batters, allowed 13 hits plus walks. He was charged with 12 earned runs and is the second reliever since 1944 to allow more than 13 runs in an appearance. He entered the game with an 11.42 ERA, which is not good, and he departed with an 18.26. Like, oh my God. I'm sorry. I don't know if that dude needs to find a different day job because it might be time. I mean, no offense. But, yeah. So with that said, I actually would have been excited to see it because I actually think the way that the MLB is going towards, not caring about strikeouts, but caring more about dingers is kind of ruining the fun part of the game. I love when the ball stays in play and you're getting people on base and then you hit the grand slam, or that's how you play on like the video games. You play it like that instead of just smoking the ball out the park all the time. You're seeing more action in the field. And when you're getting 29 runs, you're not hitting 29 dingers. You're getting people on base and you're getting the runs. And that's the kind of stuff that I think it would be exciting to see. I honestly do. I'd be like, this is what I like. This is the kind of stuff I like to see. Poor Marlins, but that is what it is.
Yeah, pretty crazy. You don't see games like that very often. The fact that we had also that 19-run game, like you mentioned, this very same day is pretty nuts. All right, moving on to my number 3. I'm going to talk about Kenley Jansen, the closer for the Los Angeles Dodgers. On Saturday night, he blew a save against the Houston Astros, which is not the team you want to blow a save against. He was the reliever of the month last month in August. In September, after that blown save against the Astros, he had an ERA north of 17. So he's been struggling a lot his last few outings. And normally I probably wouldn't be, super picky about Kenley Jansen, but last season he seemed to slow down. He had a huge dip in his velocity. Was not the same closer that we've seen the last few seasons. He's the franchise leader in saves. He has been one of the best consistent relievers in baseball in the last, 6, 7, 8 years. So he has a pretty long leash, I think, on that closer position. But Alex, if you were Dave Roberts or even just as a Dodger fan, do you trust Kenley Jansen as the Dodgers closer still?
Trust is an interesting word. I think you still have to believe in the stuff because if you don't, that's an issue. If you're Dave Roberts, there are guys in that bullpen that have succeeded in the closer role before. Specifically, Blake Trinan was nasty for the A's a couple years ago. I think if he had been, good but not great in the first month of the season, and then had shown up as awful as he was his last, say 4 outings, be a way different ball game. But because he was the NL reliever of the month, sometimes guys just lose it for a week or two. No one's going to play their perfect game every single time. Obviously, for closers in base, they're under a microscope because they get one inning. If they don't do their job, their team possibly, it's almost their fault if they lose that game. That Astros one, though, specifically that you're talking about, was awful. I was watching that one live. He looked bad. He pretty much said after the game, he's like, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel great. It was, I was miserable to be out there. But as we speak, he's about to come in to close it, hopefully for the Dodgers here down there in San Diego. So we'll see what happens. By the end of your segment, I could have changed my mind and said, fuck it, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
It's pretty crazy timing because we're about a minute away from him throwing the first pitch of the bottom of the 9th inning. Got a 2-run lead there in San Diego. Big game, big series for the Dodgers and Padres. I think probably the best new rivalry in sports right now. It's a great fight for that division in the West. All right, but moving on to my number 2 oh shit moment. Alec Mills threw a no-hitter for the Chicago Cubs on Sunday against the Milwaukee Brewers in only his 15th career start. What really makes this no-hitter interesting is it was not really a typically dominated outing by a pitcher. He only had 5 strikeouts. His fastest pitch was only clocked at 91 miles per hour and only got 5 swings and misses the entire game. So this guy was just mixing it up, throwing that curve, throwing that slider, getting weak contact. Another really cool thing about Alec Mills, he was a walk-on at University of Tennessee Martin. So this guy was not recruited out of high school. Basically walked up to the coach and told him, I want to try out. Tried out, was good enough to make the team, and he got drafted by Kansas City in 2012, worked his way up to the minor leagues, got cut by Kansas City in 2017, got picked up by the Cubs, made his way to the big leagues, and throws a no-hitter last Sunday. So you got to love a story like that. I think it's pretty awesome. It was a great game to watch. It's a beautifully pitched game. Games that are pitched like that aren't, he's not striking out every batter, which is also great to watch. But guys that can do it with less than elite stuff is an amazing feat. And that's why I think this no-hitter is super impressive. So congrats to Alec Mills. Eric, I wanted to ask you another thing I kind of thought of was we've had 2 no-hitters so far this season without fans in the stands. I think that brings up an interesting point for me. On the mental side of things, I think as you get in that 7th inning, you got no hits, even if you're the visiting pitcher or not, you can feel the anxiety and the pressure, I think, from the whole crowd. And I think that can, either break you or, it can feed you mentally. So just curious, I just want to get your opinion on this. Do you think it makes it harder or easier mentally to throw a no-hitter when there are no fans?
I think it makes it easier to throw a no-hitter with no fans. Basically, going off what you just said, you don't have distractions in the crowd. You don't have people yelling at you. You don't have a bunch of other shit going on around you. I think it's a little bit easier to do that. I think being a baseball pitcher is probably one of the toughest mentally positions there is in all of sports, behind a hockey goalie and behind a professional golfer. So,
just keep bringing the golf up. I love it.
There's a lot of mental toughness in those three positions. I would say the top three mentally tough positions of all sports.
Right on.
Probably could throw a quarterback in there.
Yeah, UB.
Yeah, probably that too.
All right, my number one oh shit moment of the week. Matt Chapman, the A's all-star third baseman, is out for the season. Huge blow for the Oakland A's. Strained his right hip. He's going to undergo season-ending surgery. This year, using 10 home runs, 25 RBIs. His average isn't what it normally was, but he's still a huge staple of that lineup. Also, a huge loss for them on the defensive end. This guy's won 2 Gold Gloves and a Platinum Glove, which goes to the best overall defender in the game. So that's a big loss. The A's did sign former All-Star Jake Lamb. Previously played for Arizona, got cut by them. He hasn't been the same Jake Lamb the last couple of seasons, but he has potential to be pretty good. Currently, the A's are pretty set right now to win this division. They're 6.5 games ahead of the Astros. So they're most likely going to make the playoffs, but I think this is a big blow for a deep run to a guy like Matt Chapman. What was that? Who won?
Islanders moving on to the next game.
I'm behind, guy.
Oh, bummer. All right, well, breaking news. Islanders win. They survive.
Sorry, Tyler.
So they're behind 3-2. All good, man. But that brings me, James. I want to ask you this question. How badly does this injury hurt the A's chances of making a deep postseason run?
I actually don't think it hurts them that much, to be honest. It hurts them, but not as much as you think. Mainly because they made a huge trade at the deadline for somebody that can play third base, who can play pretty much all infield positions, and that's Tommy La Stella from the Angels. That was right at the trade deadline. He was an all-star last season before breaking his leg. He was one of the few bright spots that the Angels had this last season, and they traded him away to the A's, which hurts me. You talked about how Matt Chapman had declining averages, declining stats this year and all that, but he still had a WAR of 1.1, which led the A's. On defense, like you mentioned, he's really, really good. Tommy La Stella, though, his averages are better than Matt Chapman's. Right now, he's averaging 276. Matt Chapman only averaged 232. Tommy La Stella has 26 runs, 42 hits, 22 RBIs, and 5 home runs. On the flip side of that, Matt Chapman only had 22 runs, 30 hits, and 25 RBIs. He did also have 10 home runs. But the fact of the matter is, Tommy La Stella is somebody who's capable of stepping in and filling that bat in the lineup. Defensively, I'm not so sure. Matt Chapman is one of the best defending third baseman in the league, hands down. And it's going to be hard to replicate that. But when it comes to just batting and keeping bats alive and scoring, I think Tommy La Stella is there and can make a good impact.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with you. I think if this one does sting, it does hurt. I still think this team has great depth. As you mentioned, they're one of the best teams in baseball right now. I think they got a good shot at making the League Championship Series, possibly even making the World Series, even without Matt Chapman. But it does hurt. He is probably the face of that franchise. So big loss there for the A's. So I just want to throw in a couple honorable mentions before I wrap up here. Last week on the podcast, I called out the Yankees for losing 15 out of 20. Ever since I called them out on the podcast, they've gone 6-0. They're back up into second place in their division after scoring 20 runs against the Blue Jays tonight. So you're welcome,
20?
Yankees.
2-0?
20 runs tonight.
Wow.
TLDR bump, boy.
That is the TLDR bump. You're welcome, Yankees fans. Number 2.
Anybody else want a TLDR bump?
Yeah.
The Niners did horrible.
Yeah, Niners, what the fuck? You got to step your shit up or you're going to miss the playoffs, guys. Come on.
James, are you worried about our bet that the Rams are going to make the playoffs?
A little bit right now. It's week 1, but yeah, a little bit.
And then real quickly, MLB announced their postseason schedule, which includes a few bubbles. It will start September 29th. The first wildcard round will be played at the higher team stadium. After that, they're moving into 4 separate bubbles for the division round. Houston and Arlington for the National League, San Diego, LA for the American League. The LCS, the National League, will play in Arlington. The American League will be played in San Diego, and the World Series will be played in Arlington, Texas at the brand new Globe Life Field. And there's also a possibility that fans might be allowed in limited capacity for the LCS and World Series. So look out for that. MLB, the bubble is coming. Other than that, Alex, that's all I got.
All right, Tyler, your oh shit moments are fire as always.